here at the 2016 Conscious Life Expo with Michael Murphy, and he's somewhat of an expert on chemtrails. And why don't you go ahead and tell us about what you're doing here and the information you're sharing today.
In geoengineering, we're going to be talking about the issue of geoengineering, which now has become a worldwide issue. It's finally being discussed in public dialogue a lot more. And my two films, What and Why in the World Are They Spraying? And my next film, which is An Unconventional Shade of Gray. We just changed the name to Unconventional Gray. More information can be found at unconventionalgray.com.
Okay. And what brought you to be interested in this in the first place?
It was noticing that our skies are changing on a regular basis, and really I went to a geoengineering conference and learned about the scientific plans and proposals to spray 10 to 20 million tons of toxic aluminum and other substances into our sky. So I became concerned because finally, for the first time, we saw credible information in public dialogue by the scientific and corporate community. And we matched it up in terms of what we're finding in terms of contamination around the world. So great concern.
And what do you think the big agenda behind this is?
There are many agendas. Many things can be achieved by putting aerosols into the sky. Weather control is a big part of it.
Yes.
By putting aerosols in the sky through the use of HAARP-like technology or other systems. It's very effective for controlling our weather, developing weather systems, diverting jet streams, which of course is very profitable for certain companies and organizations. Now I'm really looking into how geoengineering relates to the climate change agenda, and without question, geoengineering creates most, if not all, of the changing climate, the changes in our climate that we've experienced. So it's a big concern of ours, especially because now we have certain climate agreements which have been signed on, they've been passed, they're legally binding. So we're moving into an area which is very concerning, not only to our privacy, also to our freedoms, and really sovereignty in terms of individual state and nations around the world. So it's very concerning.
Wow. So what would you say to the person who says, oh, they're just vapor trails?
We hear that once in a while, believe it or not, and I would have them watch both of my films and research that, because I think most of us came from an area where that was what our belief system was. Well, and that's where I was.
You don't want to believe that something so horrific or so, such a big scheme could be going on right under our noses or right above our heads, and they haven't told us about it. So I think we run across a lot of people who are like, well, that's not real, that's a conspiracy theory. So it's really great to have a website like yours to refer to, and movies like yours to refer to. Why don't you go ahead and tell us about your website one more time?
Sure, I have many. whyintheworldAretheyspraying.com, unconventionalgray.com, the Coalition Against Geoengineering.org, and many others, but those are my primary resources that you can find out more information about this.
Okay, and what would you recommend concerned citizens do that feel like, well, what can I do about it? What can we do about it?
I think right now get involved with, we're implementing a lawsuit which addresses various components of geoengineering in relation to the climate change agenda. Get involved with that, because right now we have a geopolitical crisis right now with the climate agreements that are passed that seek to legalize geoengineering. So we're seeking to get court injunctions to stop that legalization process, and I think that's one of many things that we can do.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I appreciate your time and your information. It's much needed.
Thank you very much.
I have two questions for you.
Yes.
Is Monsanto tied into spraying at all, or are they supplying chemicals?
Not sure if they're supplying chemicals. They definitely benefit from it. What geoengineering creates is abiotic stress. Abiotic stress is anything that'll stress the soil, whether it's heavy metal contamination, pH changes in the soil, too much moisture, drought conditions. Monsanto just developed a genetically modified seed that will grow in this new environment. So by destroying our food supply or our ability to grow organic foods, they come in with the solution. So they're definitely set up to benefit and are profiting from this.
And my other question is, if somebody wants to see a chemtrail and they don't know what they're seeing, can you decipher for them what's the difference between a vapor trail and a chemtrail? How to tell the difference?
Sure, vapor trails dissipate very quickly. If you go outside in a cold day, you see your breath quickly disappears. Aerosol trails do not dissipate, they turn into clouds. So I often say when somebody's walking down the street on a cold day, You'd probably get a little concerned if you saw 3 miles of breath behind them. So it's a similar technology, but geoengineers talk about, about dispersing and creating an artificial cloud cover, exactly what we're seeing from the aerosol trails right now.
Is there anything else we should ask you about, or anything else you want to say?
Oh God, we could talk for literally days on this issue because it's so vast and so large, but I would just send people to my websites if they want to learn more information, to see my films, which are available online. I think it's important to get educated and then activated, and those are the two key components.
Because the information is out there because of people like you, and those that don't know where to look or think it's too unpleasant to think about, well, the government or the industrial military complex wouldn't be doing that. Who's spraying it? I get these questions all the time. You're crazy. Who's spraying it? So it's like, well, in the age of information, if you're ignorant, then you have nobody else but yourself to blame. So having resources like this, all you have to do is Google it, and it's there. The information is there.
Very true.
So.
Yes.